All right, welcome to VMware Explore Barcelona Day 2. It's announcement day, and man, that general session was chock full of announcements today, John.
Yeah, I was studying it. By the way, there's a cheat code that I probably don't want to ruin everyone's surprises, but if you want to find out what a tech company is announcing, go look at their investor portal at the press releases like 5 minutes before people walk on stage.
That's so true.
Because they slam all these really long PDFs in.
Well, yeah, we're podcasting all day, so I couldn't be in the general session, but that's what I was doing. I was reading the press release, and it was obviously just right before the general session. So, Mark from the VCF division, welcome to the Virtually Speaking podcast.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks, John.
Mark, I would love to pick your brain on all of these great announcements that came out and hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, it was really exciting for us to come here to Explore Barcelona because it really built upon the things we had talked about at Explore Vegas. But now we're able to talk about the next set of things. Here's our strategy and just that continuous innovation. So on the product side, we're really excited to be able to come out and talk about Tanzu Data Services, a new advanced services offering. Because, what app can you think of that doesn't require a database or a messaging bus or, a data store of some sort, right? So how do we continue to make it easy for customers? So that was one. Secondly, we continue to see how ransomware and disaster recovery are very much top of mind. So the more choices that we can provide customers, the better. Being able to come out and talk about how we have in development VMware Live Recovery that's going to support Google Cloud VMware Engine as an isolated recovery environment.
Oh, good.
We're really excited to be able to come out and share that news with our partners, Google. And then just the last one, private AI, our continued strategy around expanding the ecosystem. So now being able to run, the very first Azure Arc service, there's a video indexer, and that's really kind of the tip of the iceberg for us. We're excited to see where that partnership continues to go.
Absolutely. So much to unpack there. I'll start with the Data Services Manager, which is exciting. Obviously, we've had that for a little while, and then now working in tandem with Tanzu. That's going to make the life of a developer so much easier for sure.
Yeah, so this is fun in terms of databases or something that historically you had to have like a specialty database administrator for every single database. And DBAs, they're nice people, but they're sometimes kind of weird. And so the API for deployment for me always was I had to call, Bob if I wanted an Oracle or Steve if I wanted SQL and be like, here's my schema. Can you please go chisel this? And like 3 days later, I get my database back. And I like this idea of having, self-service APIs, indexing gets built, all the goodness, it's there.
Yeah, finally, an application programming interface as opposed to the application people interface, right?
Yeah,
of knowing who you have to go and call.
That's clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, database has been out there for such a long time. But with very established commercial databases like SQL and Oracle, et cetera, you have very, very robust tools out there that those DBAs like to use. But the challenge we saw was that when it comes to more of the open source solutions,
the data services,
these
more frontier databases that people are doing much higher scale with. People don't have a Bob or Steve, and they need some help.
Yeah, and so that's really the need that we want to be able to address there. And so it goes all the way from the day zero provisioning, but then it goes to how do we help you to keep those data services up to date, exactly, with patching, cloning, backups. We think there's just a lot of value we could add there. And when you acquire that new advanced service from VMware, we're also going to provide you that enterprise support as well.
Very nice.
So that if you actually have any issues with that data service itself, we'll be there to help you through it.
Fully supported.
I like that I'm not going to have to learn all those day two activities for every database that comes into this platform.
Yeah, for sure. And I really like what you announced with the VMware Live Recovery, now partnering with Google Cloud VMware Engine. So that means that we now have that isolated recovery environment on Google Cloud?
Yes, that's what we're working on.
In
development. And it really is about being able to support any topology that the customer chooses based on their application and their business requirements. So up until now, you've been able to leverage VMware Live Recovery for data centers that you own and manage yourself. And in addition, you could leverage the cloud capacity. And now with the work that we're doing with Google, it gives you yet another public cloud that you'll be able to leverage all without having to rewrite the application because they're running VMware Cloud Foundation on, their cloud as well. So it's still that common substrate, common processes. Last thing you want to do when you're trying to recover from ransomware is to learn a bunch of new tools and have to try out a bunch of new processes.
Well, and trying to do disaster recovery from a vSphere to another completely different platform or something like that, that's a migration. That's not a DR. Anytime you're moving from one platform to another as part of a DR, that is the wrong time to try to learn a new platform. Indeed.
Yeah. You're already under a lot of stress. Introducing yet more,
right?
Not a good idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there have been several announcements. For those that are here, I'm sure they're already aware. Obviously, you can go to VMware.com and you can see all of the announcements, but you've been in customer meetings all week. I'm just curious, what's your takeaway this week from Explore?
Yeah, well, because I think about all our news 24/7, I guess that's my job, right? I have to come in and remind myself that a lot of customers, even what we talked about at Explore Vegas, they found it very helpful for just to be able to have us recap it, because that really provides a lot of good context relative to why we're announcing the new things here at Explore Barcelona. But overall, it's just about that simplification, right? Thank goodness, VMware, you're helping me so that I'm not having to put together all those components myself. And that applies both at the IaaS infrastructure layer, but since we are just talking about VMware Live Recovery, it applies there as well.
Absolutely.
Not having to worry about, hey, I need to now stand up an isolated recovery environment. That's a lot of steps if you're having to do that yourself. The fact that in our solution, we're able to do that, and that really is a common theme here.
Well, and the people who are doing that are often some of the people who don't have the same skill sets necessarily. It's often people with that's tied to the SOC, and they need to have a fully isolated environment, but they're also kind of expected to run a platform to accomplish that. And it's there's only so many skills that you want to have to duplicate into that little bubble, and having that bubble delivered with the platform piece so the people who are doing the response can focus on the security skill sets for that, and not them necessarily having to be platform operators is big.
Absolutely. And I mean, look, we all have engineering technical backgrounds of some sort. So being geeks at heart, we all believe that, if it's possible, we could build it ourselves. I mean, that's why we all went into the technical trade,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
But that takes a lot of time. There's a lot of complexity there. And so...
doesn't scale.
Absolutely, it doesn't scale. So having us being able to come in and provide these fully integrated solutions, when we talk to customers about our private AI solution, it's the exact same thing. You could do these 16 steps on your own, but then you have to test it, validate it, the time that's spent. But if you're able to take the private AI solution that VMware delivers with our partner NVIDIA, just the amount of cost savings that happens there is remarkable.
That's right. Well said, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us on Virtually Speaking this week, and enjoy the rest of your week.
All right. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, John.